Today I'm going to show you Fusion's embossing paste. Now it comes in two different textures, the smooth embossing paste, which has a real pearl luster, or the sandstone texture, which is very gritty, like sandstone would be. I can show you in this example here that we've created a fake brick wall using the more gritty sandstone texture and the smooth embossing paste. Now both of these have been tinted with Fusion colours, the regular paint colours, to make that colour. So today I'm just going to show you the pearl embossing paste, and I can show you another example down here of this beautiful drawer set that I've already completed using the pearl embossing paste mixed with a light colour called sterling, which we have on the top here, and then it's over the top of an ash, which is the charcoal grey colour. So the embossing paste gives you a raised edge, nice raised stencil. So what I'm going to do today is use this drawer that we've used for painted for a previous video using Fusion's paint in the colour Heirloom, and we're going to put on a little stencil. Now this is a corner trim, you can use it for the corner of pieces, but today, because it wouldn't fit on this drawer, I'm just going to be using the top section to make a little stencil like this on here. So it's going to be raised. But first of all, because this is already painted, this is going to be our finished look, like the drawers that I just showed you, we're going to mix some of this pearly embossing paste with a little bit of a tinted paint. So just to show you a difference in the colour that you can create with the pearl, I'm going to mix it today with ash, which is a charcoal grey colour. There's our embossing paste, nice and shiny. Grab a piece out, a bit out. Now we're not going to need a lot because we've got quite a small stencil area to fill. I'm just going to tint that with just ever so slightly a little tiny bit of paint. Yep, that's it. Because like I said, we haven't got much to do. And I probably have a little bit much paint ratio compared to the embossing paste. You can see it's changing the embossing paste to a silvery grey colour. Probably would be easier if I did this on a plastic disposable plate or something. It's trying to be fancy. Here's a dish. Okay, you can see it's got that pearly sheen about it. And it doesn't matter if your colour isn't exactly even, it just depends on the look you want to get. So now we've got a lovely silver colour. It's almost like a pewter. I like that. Now we'll grab the drawer and our little stencil, thinking which way the top is. So the top is here, and I'm just going to have to tape that in place so it doesn't go anywhere. So we'll just do that, quick bit of tape. Okay, this is kind of, yep, that's going to be fine. Okay, so we've got our embossing paste here. We'll just grab a little bit at a time. And I'm just using an ordinary icing spatula, frosting, whatever you want to call it. And I'm being careful not to get this part in here, but we're going to be very careful not to get the bleed underneath it. And you're just going to gently put it on top of the stencil, so you're covering every area that the stencil is. If you want a nice smooth look, you can do that, or you can, you know, have it a bit more raised. And here's the part where I hope it really works. So then we take it off. And there you go. You can see it's raised if you look really closely. I have got a little bleed through underneath the stencil here. But what I can do is just grab my tiny paintbrush, grab a little bit of this blue paint when that dries, and just touch it up on the inside of there. So just bring that forward, you can see that it's raised. So the other method that I would like to show you, using the embossing paste, and again you can do it with the sandstone texture or with the pearl embossing paste, is how to make a raised edge on something that's not been painted and that I'm going to paint over after. So with this set of tall boy drawers, I would like to paint that in some milk paint perhaps. And so I'm going to put a stencil on this drawer, which I have handy dandy here. And I thought it'd be nice with a little raised edge stencil on there, but what I'm going to do is just use that as a feature and paint over the top of it. So this, what I showed you before, was already painted, and I'm changing the colour of the paste and putting something on top. With this one, I want to make a raised edge with the embossing paste that I can then paint over the top of. So let's go. We'll need to tape our piece in place wherever we want it to go. And what I will mention is that I have sanded this back just so that it'll give it extra stickability to the piece. So sand it back, a rough sanding is fine. Better make sure it's on straight without getting my ruler out. I think that looks pretty great. So again, we just put a little bit of the embossing paste in a jar just to make it easier to just use a bit at a time. And you're just laying it over the top like so. And there's the risk is getting some underneath those little stencil parts that come up, which is a bit tricky to avoid. But with this one it won't matter so much because we're going to paint over the top of it. Get a bit more out. There we go, making a nice smooth embossed edge. You can kind of add a little bit more if you think it might need more, but really you can use any stencils to do this. Fusion has a great range of stencils. Drawer stencils, that kind of thing. It's a bit like icing a cake. There we go, and we'll lift it up pretty much straight away so we don't let it dry there. And looks like I've spilt a bit. Now everything washes out in water, so there we go. And as you can see, I've got a little bleed through underneath, but that's not going to matter in the long run because what I'm going to do is paint over the entire piece, and then that raised edge, I might go over that with a bit of antiquing wax or something to really get it in the grooves, and so it looks like a nice feature on the drawer. And there you go, there's two ways of using Fusion's embossing pastes.